This is a tutorial on how to use Address2 to build web forms that also have autoresponders and trigger campaigns. Those autoresponders might put somebody on a list. So this is a little more advanced web form. So up here in your right hand corner, sometimes it'll show here, otherwise you might need the drop down box to hit web forms. This is where we're going to create it. Before creating a web form, you need to take into consideration a few things. Do you want them to be placed on a list? This particular account has too many lists, quite honestly, but for an example, Leaky Gut is a particular product, has a particular sales funnel, and we want to capture anybody who uses that particular opt-in form. So we created the list. It's a blank list. And that's where we want people to be dumped into. And we have a thank you page on the website, or we have some page that we want them to go to, so that's a redirect. So on a website, they're going to fill out a form. So we're going to go in here and start creating a form. And we're just going to call this a sample form with redirect and list. Alright, so we create this form. Now our choices are, if this is just the first form that somebody might fill out on your website, I recommend that you're only asking for a first name and email address. With some programs you don't even have to ask for a first name, but with Address2 the first name is sort of the key piece. And by default we do want them to be opted in to be able to receive your emails and email things. We don't do much with text messaging. I do want a hidden message. I want there to be a note in their account that tells me that they signed up for the sample test opt-in. So I'm just putting that in for now. Then I do not want them to be able to do a message and so forth. I do want them to be added to a list. So we created did I create a sample list? I did not. So for the sake of this, I'm going to put this into the Leaky Gut as well. We would have created a list called sample test blah blah blah. Alright, so they're going to fill out the form on the website giving only their email address and first name. By default, they're going to be opted into an email campaign that you're going to be allowed to email them. We're going to put a little message in their account that says whatever, and we're adding them to this mailing list. So over here, I do want to modify, so perhaps they are already in your list, but they are opting into this one particular thing. Maybe it's an event. Maybe in my case I do webinars, so my own people that are already on a list are opting into a webinar. I want them to go to a thank you page, so the thank you page is going to be some page on the website. So since I'm here in, so you can see I've done it before with thank you pages, and we'll just use one of mine as an example. So then we would have created a trigger campaign, and I'll go over that here in a little bit, and I want to opt them into a triggered campaign. And so we're going to notify the select users. You don't have a whole lot of users on your account, so we're not seeing anything. And continue. This is the standard look. This can be edited by a programmer. Even you could take out this piece and so forth, but this is the basic look. You could start doing colors and find a color combination you always use, and then save that and save and finish. And so then dun, 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 this is the code that is the opt-in form, and within this code we can see some things. We're going to scroll down. This is the account holder Address2, so it knows to go find that account holder in Address2 and dump this information, the first name and the email address, so on and so forth. And then it says down here some different things. So there is a text message that's going to go into their account called sample test opt-in. We are modifying if they already exist. We are redirecting them to this website page, and so forth. We are doing a triggered campaign. This account only has one, so that campaign was called a number 1. They are being dumped into a list. Okay, so that completes making the opt-in form. So let's go back, because what I didn't do was show you then how to create the trigger campaign. So you want to create a list ahead of time, and you want to create the trigger campaign ahead of time. So we'll go over here to manage, and this is where we're going to create a campaign. So you can see he's been sending these out. So oh, it's in alpha. So yeah, 4 of us got that. All right, so we're going to create a new campaign. We're going to call this campaign Joanne Sample, so we can go back and delete it here in a little bit. And this says 0 days. As soon as they hit the submit button, I want this to go out. I want the subject matter to be Joanne is glad you submitted. Being silly. If you've got a template that you use, you can do that. But a lot of times with these triggered campaigns, I recommend just plain text. This is where you would put in, this is the first message in this trigger campaign. Alright, so there it is. And you save, and this is a mail merge feature. And so we're going to save this one. And we're going to continue because we want to put another one in. So 1 day after they opted in, I want them to do your second mailing. And this is the second message in the trigger campaign. And continue. Now I'm going to skip a day, and I want it on the 4th day, well, 3 days after they opted in, I want third. Okay, this is how you build out the trigger campaign. So you can see here on right immediately we're getting this one. The next day they're getting this one, and 2 days after that they're getting this one, and then we'll do one last one for the sake of this. 5 days after, they're getting their 4th mailing and their 4th message, and we're finished. Alright, so here it is. Their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This is the subject line. It's going out immediately, a day later, 2 days after that, 2 days after that. If this is like in this case the leaky gut, and the end result is you now want to call them, if you have that, or you want to email them directly, you can notify the owner of address 2 account that this has completed. As you grow bigger and bigger, you may not want that. You want to set up a system that's automated, and either they move through the process or they didn't. So the last email is call me, call me, call me, or whatever. All right. These things, you could preview what this one looks like, which looks like that. There's very simple text. You could edit it. If you wanted to change it, you can get rid of it. And then here's the stats for everybody who has received this email. If you have links in the email, then stats will show you who and how many people are clicking on the links in the email. If you decided, you know what, there's another email I want to put in now, then you can extend this campaign. So you can do that. And the final thing you need to do is you have to make sure that you activate this triggered campaign so that the opt-in form can use it. And so you would hit activate. Let's say you really like this. This is the basics of what you want to do, but you have 4 different topics, but you want pretty much the same thing, so you can clone this and just go in and edit subject lines. So it says leaky gut in one area, it might say adrenal fatigue in the next series, and so forth. That would be there. And I think that's kind of it. So the order is to create a list. So that's the bucket that you're putting them in. They'll be in the whole database, but they'll be in the special bucket in a list. You're going to go ahead and create this triggered campaign, and then you're going to go back in and you'll create your web form, which will trigger a campaign, dump them into a list, and redirect them to a page on your website. And that's how it's done. This is the code that you need to put over in your website. If you're working in WordPress, you would want to copy and paste this into the coded view, the HTML view, not the visual view, so that it goes in right. Thank you very much. Hope that helps everybody. Let's stop.